Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Beth Ann, and I'm back! It's been like a month and a half since I posted a video, and it has been an absolutely wild month and a half. We bought a house that we haven't moved into yet, that's down in Pennsylvania. I've been to Minnesota, I don't even know, three times. I've been to Minnesota 3 times for work. I've been to Colorado for a wedding, and I've been back and forth between Pennsylvania and Maryland more times than I wish I'd crammed into a single month. So I was traveling nonstop for about a month, and now I've been sort of mostly home for a week and a half, I guess. And that's what happened. So I am slowly digging myself out of that hole, and I am wrapping up my current job and getting ready for about a month and a half of being unemployed before I start my new position in August. And it's a great time to start trying to catch up on BookTube. So I've been watching a few more videos, catching up a bit there, and it's time to start posting again. So I'm hoping to get back to a schedule of like roughly 2 videos a week. We'll see if that happens. I'm very behind on tags. I'm very behind on what I've been reading. I'm very behind on BookTube prize updates, etc., etc. So look for all of that coming down the pipeline. But today, to dip my toe back in, I wanted to talk about 2 science fiction short story collections that I read recently. So the first one is the Memory Librarian by Janelle Monáe. I'm not used to my new software yet. So it's called The Memory Librarian and Other Stories of Dirty Computer. And so this is the fleshed out written version of Janelle Monáe's concept album, which I think was called Dirty Computer. But anyway, so it's a whole futuristic world that she's created where people who don't fit into the perceived status quo are called dirty computers. And it's a world where there's a very strong Big Brother aspect, there's very strong oppression and control, and people's memories get wiped. And it's a very brutal world, but it has a lot of parallels to the world that we live in today. And so this book focuses a lot on racial oppression and the oppression of LGBTQ plus people in this fictional world, and it's very real. So the book was, to me, it was just a beautiful balance between really acknowledging that oppression and calling it out very explicitly, using this science fiction futuristic context, but then also there was just so much hope and joy woven through this, and in particular queer joy, which was really what I wanted to read during Pride Month and really any time of year. But that was what just blew me away about this book. I mean, this book made me cry multiple times. It made me laugh multiple times. So just that overwhelming feeling of hope and joy, and just seeing people finding their places and finding their people and their community, even in an oppressive system, was just really uplifting and beautiful and empowering for thinking about our own situation here in the US right now. So highly recommend. This was a 5-star read. It's interesting. I mentioned it's a short story collection. Janelle Monáe is credited as an author on every short story in this collection, but the only thing on which she is the sole author is, I think, like sort of the preface or introduction to the book that sets up the world a little bit. And then on all of the other stories, and sorry, I should say they are listed with a co-author. And the writing style changes a bit between each story. You can definitely tell that the author team has changed from story to story, but I definitely felt like I could see and feel the unifying thread of Janelle Monáe's voice. So it was cool to sort of feel like I was getting really who Janelle Monáe is as a writer. I've seen some critiques on Goodreads where people actually didn't like the co-author aspect for various reasons, so you can definitely go check those out if you want. But anyway, yeah, 5-star read, absolutely blew me away. So then the other book that I wanted to talk about is the Assimilated Cubans Guide to Quantum Santeria, which, like I said, was another collection of sci-fi short stories. And these short stories were delightful. They just didn't blow me away in quite the same way as the Memory Librarian. So I gave this book 4 stars overall. I would say, off the top of my head, I'm remembering, like, I think just one story that really blew me away, kicked it out of the ballpark, and there are a lot of stories in here. These are quite short, most of them. So yeah, overall it was excellent, very solid, but there was a mix of stories where I felt like they didn't quite end in the right place for me, or the writing just didn't quite sort of sink in as much as it would have for the really excellent stories. But yeah, this was just so creative, and because I don't really know where to start for talking about this book, I just want to share some snippets from a Goodreads review, because Rick Riordan gave this book a 5-star review. So what he had to say about it, and I'm not going to say his whole review, but I just want to share 2 little snippets from it. So he wrote, "Imagine 12 of the best Twilight Zone episodes collected as short stories, updated for 2016, and told largely from different Cuban American perspectives, with equal parts humor, magical realism, cutting-edge science fiction, and culture clash. For starters, you can expect unicorns, giant robotic pandas, evil spirits, multiple dimensions, a reality TV murder, and a Chevy truck that turns into Margaret Thatcher." So yeah, this book was just so creative, unbelievably creative. And it wasn't even that long. And like I mentioned, most of the stories were really, really short. And so to just be able to cram so much and to have all the stories be good, like none of them were bad or mediocre. I just think it was really amazing. So I definitely need to look out for more things by this author. One thing that did annoy me about the book was there was one main character in several of the stories. She was like the main protagonist, and we were told her name, so it's clearly the same person. But most of the stories didn't connect. There were just, I think, 3 that had her in it, and they were just kind of interspersed throughout. And so that sort of felt a little bit weird, because I feel like either you should have a short story collection where there's clear continuity, either through some sort of world building or through some overlapping characters, or you have disconnected stories, right? So it was just a little bit weird and a little bit jarring to just sort of, surprise, here's another story with this character in it, sort of mixed in. But that's just sort of a critique of, what Hernandez chose to include in the collection. But yeah, not really a critique of the stories themselves, because yeah, they were just all good. So highly recommend it. I will link down below to the Goodreads page so that if you want to, you can check out Rick Riordan's review of this book and maybe consider reading it yourself. So have you read any of these books? I assume some people might have read Janelle Monáe's book, since they're such a high-profile performer and artist, but I'd be especially curious if anyone has at least heard of, or maybe even read, the other short story collection that I talked about. So it's good to be back, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks. Bye.